interest, or riba. Let's begin this chapter with the definition of riba. The Quran and Ahadith have used the term riba, which has been translated by the scholars as usury or interest. We do not find definition of this term either in the Quran or in Ahadith of the Prophet of Islam. It means excess, increase, or addition, which correctly interpreted according to Sharia terminology, implies any excess compensation without due consideration. Technically, it was applied to that additional sum which the creditor charged from the debtor at a fixed rate on the principal he lent, that is, interest. At the time of the revelations of the Quran, interest was charged in several ways. Let's see an example. A person lent a sum of money and asked the debtor to pay it back together with an agreed additional sum of money within a fixed period. Or a rate of interest was fixed for a specific period, and if the principal along with the interest was not paid within that period, the rate of interest was enhanced for the extended period, and so on. Allah says in Surah Al-Nisa, ayat number 161,
وَأَخْذِهِمُ الرِّبَا وَقَدْ نُهُوا عَنْهُ وَأَكْلِهِمْ أَمْوَالَ النَّاسِ بِالْبَاطِلِ وَأَعْتَدْنَا لِلْكَافِرِينَ مِنْهُمْ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا.
And for their taking interest, even though it was forbidden for them, and their wrongful appropriation of other people's property, we have prepared for those among them who reject faith a grievous punishment. Riba Hadith. Jabir ibn Abdullah, giving a report on the Prophet's farewell pilgrimage, said, "The Prophet addressed the people, and said, all of the riba of Jahiliyyah is annulled. The first riba, that inilah, is our riba, that accruing to Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, it is being cancelled completely." Why does God permit trade and forbid usury? It is because trade and usury are absolutely different. In trade, one earns profit as a result of initiative, enterprise, efficiency, and hard work. But the interest is not earned through hard work or any value-creating process. It is not the reward of labor, but is in fact unearned income. Moreover, interest is fixed whereas profit fluctuates. In case of trade, there is risk of loss also, but in case of interest, the lender gets his fixed amount, irrespective of the fact whether the debtor earns any profit or sustains loss. God has forbidden interest, but has permitted trade. Why interest is prohibited? Let us briefly underline some of the very harmful effects of interest, and decide for ourselves why it has been prohibited. Riba or usury inculcates miserliness, selfishness, callousness, indifference, inhumanity, greed, and worship of wealth. It destroys the spirit of sympathy, mutual help and cooperation, and thus affects adversely the feelings of love, brotherhood, and unity among the community. We find around us that the usurers are generally miser, selfish and hard-hearted shylocks, devoid of milk of human kindness, who exploit the misery of the poor, and charge their pound of flesh, without feeling any moral compunction for the sufferings of the borrowers. Interest breeds idleness, and promotes unearned income. Instead of undertaking business ventures, and using their business acumen, skill, knowledge, and entrepreneurship, people having money start lending it on interest, and thus living like parasites. Interest causes many economic evils as well. It leads to hoarding of money, adversely affecting its circulation among larger sections of society. It also causes establishment of monopolies, cartels, and concentration of wealth in few hands. Thus, distribution of wealth in the community becomes uneven, and gulf between the rich and the poor widens. Capital investment is withheld from those enterprises which cannot yield profit equal to the prevailing rate of interest, even though such projects may be very vital for the country and nation. The flow of all financial resources in the country turns in the direction of those enterprises which carry the prospect of a profit margin equal to or more than the current rate of interest, even though such enterprises may have little or no social value. Banking and insurance in Islamic economy. It is not without interest to say a few words about banking and insurance in Islamic economy. Some people are apprehensive that banks and insurance companies will cease to function in Islamic economy. No doubt, the present working of banks and insurance companies is contrary to Islamic teachings, and thus in the present form, these institutions will not be allowed to function in the event of complete enforcement of Islamic system. However, banking and insurance are very vital to any modern economy, and so, the same cannot be banned. Therefore, they would be radically reformed and modified in accordance with Islamic teachings by a body of seasoned economists appointed for this purpose. The above-mentioned services performed by the banking system are so essential and useful for the modern society that the society cannot make any progress in economic sector without banking. But unfortunately, the whole system of modern banking is built upon the institution of riba, or interest, which is banned by Islam. Thus, the right approach for the Muslim community is to adopt banking, with its good and useful things, and to benefit from it, without involving interest. Therefore, Islamic banking would be based on the principle of partnership. In Islamic banking, the shareholders, the depositors, and the borrowers all would participate on profit-loss sharing basis. The mechanism and the ways and means regarding working of the partnership system will have to be evolved in the light of Islamic tenets.